Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket jacks. In this hand, we have an early position player limps and it folds to me on the button. This is a 25 NL game. This player limping is unusual. He does limp. I do have him limping first in, suitable percentage. But note his raise first in stat for early position. It's almost like, so the stat's low and then it increases, so his raise first in on the button is actually pretty high. So it almost seems like he's more willing to limp with most of his range than raise, whereas a lot of players raise a lot and then limp some of the worst hands. So I'm looking at a range like this. I think this is typically like a raising range pre-flop. Maybe not all of those suited aces. More like a raising range pre-flop, but he decides to limp instead because he's only going to be raising these queens plus ace king, so something like that. And then he's going to do the same thing in mid position, but as he gets closer to the button, he's adding in more hands, but then all of these start to become raises. We don't normally see that. I don't normally see players that kind of play like this. I see a lot of limps, but not like, usually their limps are a lot weaker and they're still raising with, raising first in with, 10%, the top, they're still raising with these hands. They're just limping with a lot weaker. So I isolate. I think that's pretty standard. I'm going to use my always isolate range. We do have a lot of junk in our hand, but we're going to attack this guy for limping. And I don't really want to take this multi-way. I've got two players that are fairly tight. If they come along, they're going to have a pretty decent hand, but they don't. So it's heads up with pocket jacks. Now, do I think Villain's going to fold some of his hands? Probably not. I think we've got limp and fold. He's got 2 out of 11, so in early position. So if we could look at this and say, well, what hands would he limp and fold? Maybe it's going to be these weaker pairs, maybe the weak suited connectors, maybe something like that. So he's going to be a slightly better range. Flop comes down king 10-9. Not too bad. I think of the hands that Villain is limping with, he's going to connect with this, but I could connect with this as well. So with us having 2 jacks, we block straights, so I'm not too worried about that. I think you do have kings, king queen, king jack, king 10 possibly. You've got queen 10. I guess ace queen, ace jack. Probably more likely like ace queen, since 2 jacks are accounted for. So Villain checks. I'm going to include 100% of his range, and then it's to me and I check. And the thing is what kind of hands do I continue betting? What kind of hands do I just check? I have a lot of hands in my range. I do think we're getting called. We're going to be getting called by quite a few hands. His fold to c bet isn't, it's high, 60%, so we would typically attack him, but we've got so many of these junk hands in a range that we can't bet everything, because then we're just going to be betting way too much. So I think we're going to probably bet with our straight draw, or not straight, our straight. Clear those out. And then probably with our set, we're going for value, and probably with 2 pair. I think those are value hands. Over pairs, probably a bet. Top pair, I think we're betting like ace, king, king, queen. Probably king, jack, but I think the lower king, queen, the lower ones would probably not. I think with all of these bets, we have backdoor potential or gut shot potential right now. I think we're checking all of these all of these bottom pocket pairs. Jacks, we've got a gut shot. I think queens, we have a gut shot, but I think we're going to play those the same way. I think we bet. He's probably going to fold a 9. He could fold a 10 if he wanted to. I don't think we get massive value. I think if we bet and get called, we're getting called by hands that have equity against us. And we've got, I think, any ace, any 8, any ace, any 8. I'd say maybe 7, not so much. Not too worried. Ace, 8, 6, and hearts, I think, are the most concerning. And since I don't have a heart, it does put in hearts in villain's range. So let's come up with like bluffing range. I think open ender is a bet. We're not betting all of our gut shots. I guess we are. Yeah, 2 card gut shots. I don't think we're betting like the queen jack. So we're going to get these gut shots, but we're not going to be betting those types of hands. King, queen, king. Those are already betting as kind of like value. And these are all pair. Yeah, so I guess just those gut shots. And then 2 card backdoor flush draws. So I think we're going to be doing like these. Because they have potential. Ace, 8. Probably all of these aces. We're not doing 10s or 9s. We have open ender already. We're bluffing with those. And then our flush draw. Ace, queen, ace, jack. Those are all value hands. With like the king. Queen, jack's a straight. I mean, we're definitely betting those. Yeah, I guess we're doing all of those flush draws. And then pocket pair below the board. 8 and 7 probably bets. So I think something like that. So that means we're checking. We're checking hands. Let's get these on here. I think, and it's not terrible. I mean, about 40%. And we could probably bet more. We could probably bet more. Yeah. Get rid of these. Yeah, 40. You're betting 60%. We've got check behind. I think that's probably right. I'd have to check GTO here. So 9 of spades comes out. If villain bets, we're calling. Villain checks again. Now this time I'm going to say he could still be like checking to be, to be tricky with this full house. We'll do like 50%. I think straight's probably betting now. He could be hesitant to bet because the board paired, and now he's going to be worried about the flush or the full house. So I think we're able to at least reduce full house straight potential. Three of a kind, 9-8. I think he's betting. I think he's betting that. Two pair, I think he's probably betting for value. Top pair, probably. Maybe betting for value. And then pocket pair below the top card, I think he's checking all of those. So let's X some of these out. And then I don't think he's betting any of these flush draws, but they could still be in his range. So something like that, which means we're probably ahead with our jacks. Do we bet here? Do we have to worry? I think if we bet, he's calling with full house or straight. How aggressive is he? We look at the turn. How many times does he check raise? 0 out of 4. How many times does he check raise on the river? 0 out of 9. Flop check raise, 3 out of 30. So if we bet here, he calls probably just those two cards. Maybe with pocket pairs. Maybe with these weak pairs. We could go for value. When we look at our hand, we have a lot of junk in our hand still. So what do we bet? If we bet, we're betting a 3 of a kind, we're betting a top pair, or we just say check. We go for one street. We check now, and then we go for the bet on the turn. Because what cards are we really scared of? I don't really think we're scared of anything. Ace maybe is going to be about the only hand if Philin decides that he's going to have ace 8, ace 7, ace 6, which he could have. Could he have a heart? Yeah, he could have a heart. But I think we can't. I don't want to bet and get check raised with a heart draw, which I don't think this guy will do. So we could bet now and then go check behind on the river, or we can check here and then maybe get called by a hand like a 10 or 8s or 7s or something like that. So I think our check is okay, and we could probably check everything here. 3 of hearts comes out. Not thrilled with the heart. Villain checks. I think at this time he would have bet his full house and probably would have bet, his flush, his nut flush at least. So we can get rid of those. And that leaves all of these weak hands. If I bet, what cards does he call with? He's going to call with hands that beat me, definitely. But would he call with a middle pair like a 10? Yeah, possibly. Would he call with a weak pair? Maybe, as a bluff catch. I don't think he'll call with a weak high. So it could be that we bet he calls 57.6% of the time. And let's check this in Equilabs. All right, so checking it here. If that is his calling range, and we have Jack of clubs, Jack of diamonds, and we need King of clubs, 10 and 9 of hearts, 9 of spades, and 3 of hearts. All right, so we're at like 95% there versus that calling range. So this should be pretty easy bet here for a little bit of value. What if he only calls if we get rid of those weak pairs? We're still at 91% because he's got 54 of those. Let's see this one. Let's take care of that. Now we're at 75%. So really comes down to, will he call with any of those middle pairs? Would he call with all of them or not? I kind of feel like if we include a middle pair, let's just do ace. Ace 10 is the only one that he calls with. He still has, that still represents, 44% of his calling range. I don't know if we're going to be above 50% or not. We are 89%. Because we split jacks. Yeah. So, yeah, it's 30%. 30% that he calls. And then of those calls, 44%. So I guess if he's only going to be calling 30%, man, we should be firing most of our hands here. Probably even ace high. I don't think we're going to have, probably 100% he's folding. We should be, he's not calling enough. I don't think he's calling enough. So we should probably be betting everything. So I think that was a mistake. And then villain shows ace queen, which we have in his range. A little unusual that he didn't call. So he had ace queen, or that he didn't raise pre-flop, but it is what it is. So we'll take a note for him. So he limp called 5 big blinds in EP versus button ISO. So yeah. With ace of diamonds, queen of hearts. Out of position, check, check, check. For a king of clubs, 10 of hearts, 9 of hearts, 9 of spades, 3 of hearts. All right, so how do I think I played? I missed the hand. I missed value. I think we should be betting the river. We're going to probably be betting almost our entire range by the time we get to the river. Villain's full calling 30% of the time. And that is if he's calling with weak pairs or not. If he only calls with, let's see here, straights or straights plus, he's calling 10% of the time. So I kind of have a feeling that he's going to be overfolding. So that means if he's overfolding, we should just be attacking and betting basically our entire range. So we missed value. All right, hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another one.